I never truly pondered it deeply until now. I always knew my mom's friend, Claire, was a constant presence in our lives, but to me, she was simply mom's friend. There was never a single awkward moment or anything that could ever make me hesitate. She was a presence that graced our dinner table or those spontaneous Sunday afternoons when she would arrive with warmth for tea. Isn't it just ordinary, like there's nothing remarkable about it? Yet that night, an undeniable shift hung in the air. It began so effortlessly, just like it always does when you least expect it. Mom warmly invited Claire over for dinner, just as she cherished doing every couple of weeks. Claire was the kind of woman who effortlessly radiated elegance and grace, always appearing impeccably polished. Perhaps it was her unique style or the grace with which she moved, but she always seemed to belong, no matter the setting. The moment is etched in my memory, vivid and unforgettable. As I sat at the dinner table, my fingers danced over my phone, masking the gnawing hunger that consumed me. Mom and Claire were sharing heartfelt conversations about their dear mutual friends. I found myself drifting away, lost in my thoughts. I completely shut down. It was Claire's voice, piercing through the silence with that one unforgettable comment, that jolted me back to reality. Her gaze met mine, and a warm smile spread across her face. Something that goes beyond mere politeness, infused with a touch of warmth. "Evan, you've truly blossomed into such a handsome man," she said, her voice filled with warmth. I can't believe it, I nearly choked on my drink. In that moment, I realized it wasn't a daring or playful remark. She was simply being truthful, I suppose, but the way she expressed it left me feeling unsettled. It was more than just a fleeting comment. There was a depth in her gaze, a haunting intensity that left you questioning the sincerity behind her words. For the very first time, I began to see things that had always eluded my awareness. Claire was in her 40s, yet her appearance defied the passage of time. Her gaze held a magic that made you feel truly seen, deeply understood. There was an undeniable aura of confidence about her that captivated me, yet I never truly paused to reflect on its significance. It was only when she uttered those words that everything changed. I squirmed in my seat, a wave of uncertainty washing over me as I struggled to find the right words. Was I really meant to just smile and carry on? Or was it time for me to confront the strange tension that lingered in the atmosphere now? Mom appeared completely unaware of anything out of the ordinary. Her laughter filled the air as she reminisced about the unforgettable party they attended last year. Yet, the feeling lingered, refusing to let go. I couldn't help but steal glances at Claire, desperately trying to hide my curiosity. Yet, her gaze was fixed on me, as if she was silently urging me to respond, to break the tension that hung between us. I was torn between speaking up and pretending it never occurred. The dinner came to a close, just like any other evening, yet it felt like a moment suspended in time. As we exchanged our farewells, Claire held me in her embrace just a moment longer, as if trying to capture the warmth of our connection before parting ways. Her hand grazed my arm, sending a shiver of something profound through me. Could it have all been a figment of my imagination? Was it only me, or did something truly exist between us? As I made my way back to my room after Claire's departure, my mind was consumed with the whirlwind of emotions from our encounter. Did she truly mean it? I found myself lost in a whirlwind of questions. The sweet compliment, the warm smile, the way her eyes met mine with such depth. It seemed to carry a weight that transcended mere friendliness. Yet, perhaps I was overanalyzing the situation. She was a dear friend of my mom's, for heaven's sake. Surely, that sort of thing is impossible, isn't it? It clung to me, an unshakable weight that I couldn't escape. The entire evening lingered in my mind, a haunting echo that refused to fade away. It had been ages since I experienced such a profound feeling. It was utterly bewildering. For the first time, I felt a gaze upon me that stirred something deep within, prompting thoughts I had never considered before. Lately, I faced so much turmoil after my breakup, and I found myself lost in the whirlwind of emotions, focusing solely on work and trying to keep my head above water. Yet now, everything seemed to have changed profoundly. Claire's gaze met mine, and in that moment, a flicker of curiosity ignited within me. I began to question if there was something deeper to her than merely being my mom's friend. Perhaps it was just a fleeting moment, insignificant and easily forgotten. Perhaps it was just a figment of my imagination. Yet, that single line, "You've really grown into a handsome man, Evan," lingered in my thoughts, refusing to be silenced. Everything about it felt deeply unsettling. Yet, deep down, a part of me yearned for it to linger just a little longer. The days that followed were filled with an unsettling sense of unease. I wasn't consumed by it, yet the small details kept catching my eye, tugging at my heartstrings. Claire had been showing up at our house with an unexpected frequency lately. She would visit for tea, or simply to share precious moments with Mom. At first, I brushed it off, but gradually, an undeniable sense began to stir within me, whispering that there was something deeper at play. She had always radiated warmth, but now, it felt as though a new, unspoken tension filled the air whenever she entered the room. I attempted to push it aside. Perhaps I was simply lost in my thoughts. In the end, Claire was simply a familiar presence in my mom's world, woven into the fabric of her social life. Yet, an unmistakable change lingered in the atmosphere now. Her gaze lingers on me, a moment stretched into eternity, as if she's trying to unravel the depths of my soul. It wasn't exactly uncomfortable, yet it lingered in the air, impossible to ignore. One afternoon, I found myself at my desk in my room, pouring my heart into a graphic design project. As I was immersing myself in the moment, a sudden knock on the door shattered my focus. With Mom absent, I couldn't help but think it must be Claire. As I turned the handle and opened the door, my heart skipped a beat. There she was, standing before me, her smile lighting up the room. "Hello, Evan. Do you have a moment to spare?" With a hopeful smile, she lifted her coffee cup, seeking connection. "I found a bit of extra, and I thought it would bring you joy to have some." A wave of awkwardness washed over me, yet I couldn't bring myself to act rudely. "Of course, please come in," I urged, moving aside with a welcoming gesture. She entered as if it were the most effortless and instinctive act imaginable. We settled onto the couch in my room, a moment filled with warmth and intimacy. As she placed the cup in my hands, we fell into our familiar rhythm, sharing the comforting details of life, how Mom was holding up, how the days at work were unfolding. Yet, an unspoken tension lingered in the air now. Each word she uttered carried a weight, as if beneath the surface lay unspoken depths that transcended mere small talk. "How is life treating you? Are you still pouring your heart into all your projects?" she inquired, her fingers gently swirling the coffee, lost in thought. "Yeah, it's just the same familiar routine," I responded, making an effort to maintain a cheerful tone. Yet, the moment the words left my lips, a wave of uncertainty washed over me, leaving me questioning the very essence of what I meant to convey. I wasn't being dishonest, yet deep down, I sensed that I was holding back the full truth from her. It felt as though there was a deeper part of me, a hidden truth that I was holding back. She drew nearer, her gaze locking onto mine with an intensity that sent shivers down my spine. "You know," she whispered gently, "I've always been in awe of your determination, and you've truly blossomed into such a striking man." Though she had uttered similar words before, this time they resonated with an unmistakable weight. A flutter of excitement raced through my chest, as confusion and curiosity intertwined, enveloping me in their embrace. Was this merely a gesture of friendly admiration, or did her words carry a deeper, unspoken meaning? I fought to maintain my composure. I found myself at a loss for words, unsure of how to react to such a moment. I was torn between not wanting to make her uncomfortable and the fear of sending the wrong message. "Thank you," I replied, my voice attempting to mask the weight of my emotions. "I'm really just searching for clarity in all of this, you know?" Her smile lingered, and she nodded gently, yet an unexpected silence hung in the air. The kind of pause where the silence between two people hangs heavy with unexpressed feelings. "I understand what you're going through," she whispered, her voice softening. "There are moments when it feels so comforting to have a person to confide in, someone who truly gets you. Your ability to listen is truly remarkable, Evan." I nodded, my heart heavy with uncertainty, struggling to find the right response. A wave of emotion washed over me as I found myself ensnared in a moment that, while not entirely uncomfortable, was undeniably peculiar. We exchanged a few more words, but the atmosphere around us had transformed. As the moment arrived for her to depart, she rose to her feet and made her way to the door, each step heavy with the weight of goodbye. I trailed behind her into the hallway, and she hesitated for a moment, just before stepping out into the unknown. "I truly appreciate the coffee, Evan. It means a lot to me." "I'll see you soon," she said, her eyes sparkling as she turned to me, that familiar smile from dinner lighting up her face once more. Yet this time, there was an undeniable spark in her eyes, a warmth that seemed to hold on just a heartbeat longer than it should have. As she departed, I lingered in the doorway, my heart heavy, watching her silhouette fade as she descended the stairs. A lingering sensation tugged at my heart, an unshakable awareness that something profound had shifted within me. Am I overanalyzing, or is there truly something deeper beneath the surface? Perhaps it was insignificant, yet each time Clara's gaze met mine, an aching sense of incompleteness washed over me. A matter of great significance. As I stepped back into my room, I sank into my chair at the desk, desperately seeking to find my focus. Yet, no matter how hard I tried, the conversation echoed endlessly in my mind. Could it really have been mere chance? I found myself questioning everything, yet deep within, uncertainty began to take hold. The days following Clara's visit began to meld into one another, each moment fading into the next. It wasn't just her actions, it was the overwhelming emotions that washed over me every time she entered the room. Every little detail about her, the warmth in her voice, the brightness of her smile, the way her eyes would meet mine, was infused with an intensity that left me both captivated and bewildered. And the most painful part was, it felt as if she was fully aware of it. She possessed a unique ability to make everything resonate deeply, to weave an air of intimacy that felt almost overwhelming. A week after that heartfelt coffee conversation, she returned to our home once more. In that moment, with Mom busy running errands, it was just Clara and me, sharing a quiet space filled with unspoken connection. She was struggling to manage a bag of groceries, and it struck me as unusual. "I decided to prepare dinner tonight. A little something for you and your mom," she said with a warm smile, as if this gesture was a cherished ritual she had performed countless times before. "Of course, that sounds wonderful," I responded, even though the thought of being alone with her still stirred a mix of excitement and unease within me. Yet, I found myself unable to say no. As we began to prepare dinner side by side, a quiet intimacy enveloped us, the silence speaking volumes of our shared moments. I sliced the vibrant vegetables, while she gracefully tended to the warm embrace of the stove. Occasionally, she'd share a heartfelt remark, like how the aroma of garlic brought her joy or how she marveled at how much I had blossomed since our last encounter. Each time her hands brushed against mine, my heart raced, as if it were dancing to a rhythm only we could hear. I struggled to maintain my composure, yet the weight of the tension in the air was unmistakable. "I've always cherished our moments together, Evan," Clara said softly as she stirred the pot. Her voice carried a gentle warmth that enveloped me, hinting at deeper emotions woven within her words. I was completely at a loss for how to respond to that. "Absolutely, I feel the same way," I replied with a cheerful tone. I never intended to create an uncomfortable situation, but I found myself questioning how much longer I could maintain this facade. She cast a fleeting glance my way, a soft smile dancing at the corners of her lips. "It's truly remarkable to see how you've grown into such an incredible young man. Your mom constantly shares how incredibly proud she is of you." She uttered it with such nonchalance, yet I couldn't shake the feeling of her gaze resting on me for a heartbeat longer than it should have. I redirected my attention to chopping the vegetables, attempting to steer the conversation away from anything too intimate. Yet, I couldn't help but notice how she kept leaning in, as if she yearned to close the distance that lay between us. Her presence enveloped the room, a force so powerful that it left me breathless, unsure if it was a deliberate act or simply the magic of who she is. As we shared our meal, the weight of unspoken words lingered in the air. Clara's gaze lingered on me, and with every glance, an unsettling wave of discomfort washed over me, deepening with each moment. I felt lost, uncertain of what she truly desired from me. Was she merely being kind, or was there a deeper meaning behind her words that she was trying to convey? After dinner, I felt the need to step outside and take a walk, hoping to find some clarity for my swirling thoughts. I found myself yearning for a moment of solitude to gather my thoughts. Clara kindly offered to keep me company, but I gently explained that I needed a moment to myself. Absolutely, she replied, rising to her feet and gently dusting off her hands. Whenever you find yourself in need of a listening ear, Evan, please know that I am always here for you. You're aware of that, aren't you? Her words struck me unexpectedly. It wasn't the first time she had uttered words like those, but this time they carried an undeniable weight. Her words carried a profound weight that resonated deep within me, an unspoken truth I couldn't overlook. I stepped outside, my mind swirling in a chaotic storm of emotions. What was unfolding before my eyes? Was Clara simply being warm-hearted, or was there a deeper connection stirring beneath the surface? I desperately tried to convince myself it was just my imagination, that there was nothing to worry about, but deep within my heart, I understood it was far more complicated than that. I had to find a way to understand this. But how can it be possible? I strolled around the block, allowing my thoughts to drift freely. She lingered in my thoughts, a constant presence I couldn't shake off. Her gaze held a depth that stirred something within me, and her words wrapped around my heart like a warm embrace. Was she truly being kind? Or was there something I just couldn't grasp? And if I truly was, what would that signify for me? Upon returning home, I found that Clara was no longer there. Mom had just come back, and in that moment, the world felt right once more. Yet, the familiarity I longed for failed to wrap me in the solace I had hoped to find. In truth, it only deepened my sense of unease. The whole evening unfolded in a haze, a whirlwind of fleeting moments. A deep unease settled in my heart, as if an invisible barrier had formed between Clara and me, altering everything we once shared. I repeatedly reassured myself that I was just overanalyzing, yet deep within, I felt the undeniable truth, I wasn't. The entire situation was spiraling into a realm that could no longer be brushed aside. At this point, I could no longer escape the undeniable truth. Clara's behavior had grown so glaringly apparent, so deeply unsettling, that I could no longer convince myself it was merely innocent attention. It wasn't merely the glances she cast my way, or the way her fingers lingered on my arm just a heartbeat too long. It was the way she made me feel like I was the very heartbeat of her universe whenever I was near her, and that overwhelming intensity left me feeling uneasy. Days had passed since that dinner, and I could feel the weight of the situation closing in on me, making it hard to breathe. I felt completely lost and unsure of my next steps. It pained me to think of hurting Clara, yet I found myself trapped in a web of pretense, unable to continue the facade that all was well when my heart knew the truth. For the last few days, I found myself steering clear of her. Mom was caught up in her work, and Clara hadn't been around as often as I hoped. I believed this was the best path to take. Spending less time with her brought a sense of clarity to my heart. But then, as if destiny was weaving a cruel tapestry, Clara reappeared once more. The sun was beginning to set, casting a warm glow over the room as I settled in, ready to immerse myself in the excitement of the game, when suddenly, the doorbell pierced the tranquility. I stole a quick look at my phone. Mom sent a message, letting me know she'd be home late. I opened the door, and there she stood, bathed in the warmth of that familiar smile that always made my heart skip a beat. "Hi there, Evan." She welcomed me with a bright smile, her joy radiating like sunshine. As I wandered through the neighborhood, a wave of nostalgia washed over me, compelling me to pause and take a moment to soak it all in. "I brought some wine for your mom, but I was hoping we could share a few heartfelt moments together before that." For a fleeting moment, I found myself caught in a web of uncertainty. I found myself in a difficult position, torn between politeness and the overwhelming uncertainty of navigating yet another conversation where the boundaries of friendship felt so dangerously unclear. "Of course, please come in," I said, my voice steady but my heart racing with anticipation. As she stepped inside, I felt the intensity of her presence, so near to me. Each delicate movement of hers felt profoundly purposeful. And the most heartbreaking part was, it was beginning to take a toll on my very soul. I felt a deep sense of unease wash over me. A deep connection was starting to blossom within me for her. I loathed myself for feeling this way, yet her smile, her voice, held an undeniable allure that captivated me, something I simply couldn't resist. As she settled onto the couch, crossing her legs in that familiar way, the air thickened with an undeniable intimacy. "How have you been? I hope all is well with you. How are you managing to cope with everything that's been happening?" My mind was a whirlwind, leaving me uncertain of how to respond. It felt as though she was digging deeper, as if she were coaxing me to reveal my innermost thoughts in a way that carried an unsettling undertone. "It's okay, just the same old routine," I responded, hoping to steer the conversation away. It felt like she was completely oblivious to the subtle signals I was sending. Instead, she inched a bit closer. "Evan, I can't express how deeply proud I've always been of you. It fills my heart with joy to see how you've blossomed into such an extraordinary young man." Her eyes glistened with warmth as she spoke, and it felt as though her words were reaching deep into my very soul. I squirmed in my seat, a wave of uncertainty washing over me as I struggled to find the right words. I longed to express to her that this wasn't right, that her actions were deepening my confusion more than ever, yet the words remained trapped inside me. Instead, I remained there, paralyzed, absorbing every word she spoke. "You're truly different from the other young men your age," she continued. "Your maturity shines through, a rare calmness that captivates and comforts those around you." My heart raced wildly, yet I held on to my calmness with all my might. "Thank you, I suppose." I attempted to keep the mood cheerful, but it was evident that Claire was determined to press on. She leaned in closer, her face just inches away from mine, creating an electric moment between us. In that moment, an uncomfortable silence enveloped us, heavy and palpable. She fell silent for a moment, and in that stillness, I felt the heavy burden of the moment pressing down on me for the very first time. She stood there, her heart heavy with anticipation, longing for something to break the silence of her stillness. An emotional response. Perhaps I was unaware, yet I could sense her gaze upon me, and in that moment, it felt as if time itself had come to a standstill. The room seemed to shrink around me, suffocating in its embrace. At last, Claire found her voice once more, but it was tender and fragile, barely escaping her lips like a gentle whisper. "Evan," she whispered, her breath a fragile wisp in the air. "I have something important to share with you." A heavy weight pressed against my chest. A wave of uncertainty washed over me as I stood on the brink of her revelation. Deep down, I questioned if I was truly prepared for the words that were about to unfold, yet retreating was no longer an option. A deep instinct stirred within me, warning that we were on the brink of crossing a line that would forever change everything. With a moment of uncertainty, she paused, drawing in a deep breath before she found the courage to go on. "This has been weighing on my mind constantly. Let's talk about you." And I find myself unable to hold back any longer. I realize I've been behaving in ways that might seem unusual, but it's something I can't control. I felt a sudden chill wash over me. I found myself at a loss, caught off guard by her words. This was not at all what I had anticipated. She was finally facing the truth. Recognizing that what we shared went far beyond mere friendly gestures or lighthearted conversations. Claire's gaze pierced through me, and I felt the raw intensity of her emotions reflected in her eyes. "Evan, my feelings are beyond my control. I've given it my all, but it feels impossible." Words failed me. My thoughts were a whirlwind, desperately seeking clarity in the chaos of her words. This was truly chaotic. A chaotic disaster. I knew I had to bring it to a close right now, before it spiraled out of control. Just as I was about to say something, the front door swung open, and there she was, Mom, stepping into the room. Claire sprang to her feet in an instant, as though the world around her had simply faded away. "Hello, Claire. What's happening right now?" Mom inquired. Oblivious to the heavy tension that had just enveloped the room, Claire swiftly gathered herself and offered a bright smile. "Oh, it's nothing at all. I'm reaching out to see how Evan is doing. I really need to leave now." As Claire walked away, an unsettling dread settled in my chest, whispering that the worst was yet to come. I desperately needed to find a way to escape this situation before it spiraled out of control. The days that followed Claire's confession felt utterly stifling. I turned away from her calls, her messages, and every moment that could lead us to cross paths. I felt lost and overwhelmed, unsure of how to cope with the weight of what had transpired. I felt a deep conflict within myself. I felt her emotions deeply, yet I couldn't ignore the fact that her actions were misguided. I knew I had to put a stop to this before it spiraled out of control. One fateful evening, a message from Claire illuminated my screen. It was so beautifully simple. "Evan, can we please have a moment to talk?" My emotions were a tangled mess, leaving me lost and uncertain. My heart pounded wildly as I gazed at the phone in my hand, the gravity of the moment enveloping me like a heavy shroud. Yet, in the depths of my heart, I understood that this conversation was necessary. The moment had come that I could no longer escape. That evening, I found myself driving to the coffee shop that held so many of our cherished memories. As I stepped inside, my eyes found Claire in a quiet corner, her anxious demeanor palpable. Her hands trembled restlessly, and her face was ashen. As soon as her eyes met mine, she sprang to her feet, a rush of surprise and excitement evident in her every movement. "Evan," she whispered, her voice trembling with emotion. "I've been reflecting deeply on it all. I deeply regret crossing that line. I'm truly sorry for making you feel uncomfortable, and I completely understand if you're feeling upset. I'm at a loss, I can't quite grasp what transpired. It feels as though my emotions have completely overwhelmed me." I nodded, fighting to keep my composure. "Claire, your friendship has meant the world to both me and my mom for so long. What transpired was deeply unsettling. It was a line that should have remained untouched. I understand your intentions were never to hurt me, but we must both recognize that we can't keep going on like this." Her gaze fell, lips trembling as she bit down, a deep sense of shame washing over her. "I truly understand, Evan. I truly do. But the thought of losing you as a friend fills me with sadness. I truly hope this doesn't tear us apart. You truly mean so much to me." I inhaled deeply, understanding that I needed to be resolute yet compassionate. "Claire, I want you to know how much you truly mean to me. This situation cannot continue any longer. I can't act as if it never took place. Yet, the thought of losing you as a friend fills me with sadness. It's time for us to set a boundary, and that's the request I'm making. If we can both honor that, perhaps we can discover a path to move ahead together." She nodded slowly, her eyes brimming with heartfelt gratitude. "I truly don't want to create any uncomfortable moments, I swear. If we can remain friends, I promise to honor that choice wholeheartedly." Clarity has finally arrived. It's time to stop pushing the limits. Only friendship. A heavy silence hung in the air before I finally found the words to break it. I truly believe that a little distance could be healing for both of us, allowing us the space to reflect and reset our hearts. Claire's lips curled into a gentle, relieved smile, a flicker of hope illuminating her face. I wholeheartedly agree. It's what feels truly right in my heart. As we continued our conversation, I could feel the heaviness in my heart begin to fade away, leaving me with a sense of lightness and relief by the time we said our goodbyes. A serene stillness enveloped the air, a precious gift that had been absent for far too long. We both felt the weight of what had transpired. Yet, what truly mattered was that we had come together to decide on our path ahead. That night, as I drove home, a profound sense of peace washed over me, as if a missing piece of my life had finally found its rightful place. I established a firm boundary, yet I also opened my heart to the possibility of healing. The anger had faded away. I felt a sense of calm, untouched by any turmoil. All I longed for was for everything to go back to the way it used to be. As soon as I stepped through the door, my mom's eyes lit up with curiosity, and she gently inquired about how my conversation with Claire had unfolded. I paused, allowing myself a moment to gather my swirling thoughts before crafting my response. "It went beautifully," I said, my smile warm and genuine. We poured our hearts out and shared everything. Everything is finally okay now. She appeared to breathe a sigh of relief. It fills my heart with joy to hear that. The two of you have faced so much together recently. I nodded, but deep down, a wave of relief washed over me. It was far from just fine. It was finally resolved. Claire and I would find our way back to each other, and life would return to the comforting rhythm we once knew. The journey was far from simple, yet it was undeniably the path meant for me. As the weeks drifted by, the tension that once hung between Claire and me began to dissolve, leaving behind a sense of relief and warmth. We began to spend time together once more, but this time an unspoken connection blossomed between us. A newfound respect for boundaries that had once been absent. I have never erased that moment from my memory, yet it never shaped who we are. Ultimately, Claire and I held on to our friendship. Our relationship blossomed as we confronted the issue together, refusing to shy away or dismiss its significance. Though the journey was fraught with challenges, we emerged from it with a deeper understanding of ourselves and a clearer vision of what we truly desired from one another. That summer, I came to understand that engaging in tough conversations and establishing boundaries could be the most powerful means of safeguarding the things I held dear. In this instance, our friendship endured because we both had the courage to confront the truth and embrace it wholeheartedly. It had been 7 long months since that unforgettable conversation with Claire. Time had gently eased the tension, allowing me to move forward and discover a sense of peace with the choice we had embraced. Yet, life has a peculiar way of leading you back to moments you believed you had left behind forever. On a quiet Sunday afternoon, I found myself wandering through a local park, lost in thought, seeking solace after a grueling week at work. The weather was absolutely perfect, the sun radiated warmth, and for the first time in what felt like an eternity, I experienced a profound sense of peace. But as I turned the corner by the lake, there she stood, Claire. She sat on the bench, her gaze lost in the gentle ripples of the water as the ducks glided by, a serene moment that wrapped around her like a warm embrace. She was still unaware of my presence, and for a fleeting moment, I contemplated slipping by in silence, letting the chance to connect fade away. It felt like an eternity since we were last together. We once shared something beautiful, but those days feel like a distant memory now, don't they? Yet there she was, radiating tranquility and a deep sense of contentment, and for reasons I couldn't quite grasp, I found myself unable to simply turn and leave. With a gentle heart, I stepped closer, mindful not to frighten her. Claire, I whispered, my voice trembling with doubt. Her eyes sparkled with joy as she lifted her gaze, a radiant smile spreading across her face the moment she caught sight of me. Evan, she exclaimed, rising to her feet in a sudden rush. Seeing you here took me by surprise. A smile crept onto my face, a mix of nervousness and a wave of relief washing over me at the sight of her. I was just as surprised to see you. It feels like an eternity has passed. She nodded, her eyes glistening with warmth. Absolutely, it truly has. We lingered in that moment, the tension from months past gradually dissolving into something softer. In her eyes, I could sense the same uncertainty that gripped my own heart, leaving us both at a loss for words. Yet, this time, the tension carried a weight that was unmistakably different. It felt like a weight had been lifted. I've been thinking about you. How have you been holding up? She inquired softly, her voice filled with warmth. I've been doing well. I responded, my hands buried deep in my pockets, feeling the weight of the moment. Ah, the routine of work life, it feels so familiar yet so monotonous. What about you? I'm good too, she replied, her voice laced with a gentle laughter. I've been doing okay, navigating through life's challenges. We lingered in silence, allowing the weight of the moment to envelop us completely. There was an absence of pressure, no hint of awkwardness, just two souls who had once shared something profoundly significant, now, months later, still standing before one another. The familiar bond we once shared still hung in the air, yet this time it felt profoundly transformed. In this moment, we found ourselves in a much brighter place together. As I finally broke the heavy silence, I asked softly, would you like to go grab a coffee or something? Her smile lit up her face, and her eyes sparkled with joy. I would truly cherish that. As we strolled to the cozy cafe nearby, our words danced effortlessly between us, just as they always had, creating a warmth that felt so familiar. Everything felt calm and assured, free from any tension or doubt. It felt as though the past 7 months had washed away all the awkwardness, leaving only the warmth and comfort of the bond we once cherished. As we settled into our seats with our drinks, I couldn't help but gaze at her, seeing her through a fresh lens of emotion. She radiated a new energy, exuding confidence and a profound sense of inner peace. Yet, there remained that unmistakable spark in her eyes, the very spark that had captivated my heart from the very beginning. I've been reflecting deeply on our journey together, I confessed, my voice trembling with uncertainty. Reflecting on all that has transpired before. And I now understand that perhaps I was too hasty in closing it all off. Perhaps we were both lost in our own ways. At first, she remained silent. She gazed at me, her eyes delving deep into mine, as if seeking something profound. "What are you trying to convey, Evan?" I inhaled deeply, sensing the profound gravity of the moment. "I believe I'm finally ready to take that leap once more. This time, let's hold the secret close to our hearts, just between us. Free from expectations, liberated from pressure. Only the two of us." Claire's expression melted, a gentle smile beginning to bloom at the edges of her lips. "Are you saying that this is something we can keep just between us?" "Absolutely," I responded, my head nodding in agreement. "We embark on this journey for our own hearts and souls. At last, we embrace what truly resonates with our hearts, free from the weight of others' opinions." Her smile blossomed, radiating warmth, as she leaned across the table, gently placing her hand over mine. "I truly believe that sounds absolutely perfect." And in that moment, everything fell into perfect harmony. It transcended the need for public approval or the weight of others' expectations. It was all about the deep connection we shared, the unbreakable bond that had always existed between us. It was all about us, and nothing mattered more. In the months that followed, we chose to embrace a profound silence. We cherished every moment we could share, from intimate dinners to peaceful walks and cozy movie nights. It may not have been grand, but it was precisely what our hearts craved. We embraced the freedom of not having to define it, allowing it to simply be what it was meant to be. In that fleeting moment, we were simply two souls savoring the warmth of each other's presence, lost in the beauty of now. We kept our secret hidden from everyone, never sharing the truth of our actions. It was a cherished secret between us. In that moment, we were filled with joy, and nothing else could compare. Just you and me, free from drama and complications, simply embracing our time together. In those serene moments, when it was simply the two of us, the world felt perfectly aligned.